Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome to Hardcore Heroes. How are you guys doing today?
Is that to us or the chat?
Huh?
That's to us. Is that to us or chat?
To you.
That's to us.
To
All
you
right.
guys, yeah. How are you? If I was
I'm
talking
feeling-
to chat, it would just be awkward dead air, you know?
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I've had a stressful couple of weeks because I had that exam, and then I finished the exam, and then I had to start like packing up everything from my flat to move cities. And now finally, the exam's over. I've moved into this new flat. You know, this is the first weekend I've got where I haven't got like crazy shit to do, so that's good.
How was the exam?
It was all right. I could have done more work. In my head, I'd kind of written off a little bit, and I'm a bit annoyed now because it was like a really easy paper. The questions were, and I don't think I could resit it 10 times and it wouldn't be that easy again. So I'm a little bit annoyed that I didn't do more work, but I think there's a decent chance.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you feel pretty confident?
I'd say 60%. And somebody's asking if I've got
That's
the
a
CFA.
D. That's not very good.
Oh, you only need 60% to pass.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you're only 60% confident that you got 60%.
Yeah, it doesn't really work like that though. You know, I mean, I'm 60% confident that I've passed.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, yeah. Somebody asked if I got CFA. Well, I was only doing level 2, so even if I pass this, I've still got another one to do.
All right. What about you, Sean? You've been all over the place, haven't you?
Just two places.
Oh.
I went back to school. I'm doing a summer session because it was either do a summer session or get an internship for the summer, and I figured I'd go for the cheap credits. But not much has been going on there. Mostly, I've been meaning to do this for about a year, but I finally started playing Elder Scrolls Arena. There's one I'm going to go through all 5 main games. Maybe play Redguard and Battlespire, but probably not.
Didn't you go on a road trip? Didn't you go somewhere far away?
Well, I am somewhere far away right now, but that's about it.
I could have sworn you were going on some sort of like cross-country trip for a week.
Nope.
No? No, alright, I'm just making
I think
things up.
Yeah, you're confusing me with someone else, I think.
I have no idea. I don't know anyone else that went on a cross-country trip. I guess I just kind of imagined it.
Alright.
Well, that's fantastic. So, who wants to kick it off with the recap? Or maybe you guys want to do it together?
We might need to do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually watched last week's episode.
Okay, then you know more than I do.
So I think we started out having fled the town right after Croak's untimely demise. And then we kind of talked about it and decided that we should probably go back. And I think Malachi was uncomfortable with Zinli having all of Croak's shit. But before we could deal with that, we had to go to Ratberg since the full moon was coming up, and we kind of promised that we were going to look into that. We went to Ratberg and got ourselves set up. We staked ourselves out for a few nights, waiting for something awful to happen. We had the town like tie up the kid that Croak had thought was
Little Jimmy?
the wear-up, little Jimmy, yeah. And it turned out Croak was right all along. It was him. The chains held. Nothing terrible happened. I was pretty much ready to just, you know, end his suffering and call it a day with little Jimmy, but Van Helsing was convinced by the priest of the town to bring him along with us. So against my better judgment, it was agreed. And we set off in the carriage, the two of us, Jeeves, little Jimmy, back down to Radport to go and see if we could, I don't know, extract some sort of revenge for Croak. There was about an hour and a half, 2 hours of me trying to sneak into the shop and kill Zinli, and it just wasn't working out for me, and ended up coming to a confrontation in the tavern where I kind of tried to make a deal, say, you know, give us half of Croak's stuff and we'll leave you alone. And she was like, well, tell you what, you just leave and I won't kill you. You know, regretfully agreed to that decision, so we decided to leave. And then just when you thought everything was going to be, you know, safe from now on, we'd left the city where there were people trying to kill us. We were attacked on the road by, well, a chimera, quite a deadly beast. Van for sure thought we were dead and was about ready to turn tail and run and turn himself into a tree. Fortunately, for me,
I don't think that would have worked. I would have had to disengage.
yeah, I don't think it would have worked. But fortunately, the Wolf and Bear, and my magic came through, and Van's tanking ability sort of held it off for long enough so that I managed to put it down. Which, Neil, brings me to something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it.
It's up.
Oh, it's already done.
Okay. It is visible. You want to describe what you have created for us?
Yeah, so I was like jealous that Matt had drawn Van Helsing and Georg and not done me. So I commissioned him to draw the scene from us fighting the Chimera, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Matthew for composing my new desktop background.
Yeah.
Gosh, I didn't even think of that.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, right. So there you can see Wolf and Bear and Malachi killing the Chimera while Van gets fucked up. And then once it was dead,
called tanking.
Once it was dead and we got over the shock of it, we decapitated the dragon's head, thinking that maybe there would be some valuables there. I think Van wants to use its bones for an augury spell, maybe its scales for some armor. Who knows what else, what other wealth you can get from a dragon's head. I'm not convinced that it's the same as a real dragon's head, but we'll see. And then I leveled up to level 5, and I think we're on our way out to Clydesdale.
Yes, and you guys, I think, are in you're in Clydesdale on your way to Hillsborough, right?
Yes, we're going to the fighting school in Hillsborough to try and maybe recruit some permanent party members before, moving on to bigger and better things outside of this accursed peninsula.
We still haven't figured out where we're going to go, though. Like, we can't go back to Shirebrook. Anvil got taken over.
Well, let's talk about that in game.
All right.
Yeah. So, why don't we hop into game? I believe you guys are actually in Clydesdale right now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Okay, so
Neil,
we
spells,
cut the dragon's
spells.
head off. Oh.
Ooh, spells?
Oh,
Yes, I need to.
yeah, because he hit level 5.
Oh, you get new spells. Which spells did you pick? And are you rolling for them, or are you just going to pick a few?
Well, I can pick one or roll for 3, right? That's the
Right,
deal.
right.
Roll for 3, dude.
I'm going to roll for 3, yeah.
The odds are in your favor.
Yep, it's not going to
As
go
they
wrong
always
twice.
are.
I hate that movie.
Okay, so the first one is Fireball. Chance to learn is 75%. So I'm going to roll. I'm going to get less than 75.
For Fireball?
Yes. Yes. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to write that down.
All right, GG, guys. That's game.
Fireball. Okay.
Aren't you going to get slow or something?
I'm
Oh,
gonna get
haste. Because that is the reverse.
Slow is better. Slow is better. Slow is like
Isn't
the
it?
best.
Isn't it the reversible spell?
No, it's not. It's 2
Oh.
separate spells, unfortunately. Haste isn't anywhere near as good as slow, though.
Yeah, because you age.
Yeah, and it only affects, like, I don't know. It would only affect you, whereas, like, slow will affect all of our enemies. Okay, so I'm going to learn slow next. Yes. Ooh.
Ooh.
Close. All right. Now, Van, I'm thinking between either monster summoning or wraith form. Now, Neil has said that I can cast spells out of wraith form, which seems ridiculously unbalanced. So
Let me look at monster summoning really fast, because Wraith Form is amazing.
you get 2d4 level 1 monsters.
Bear in mind that people with magical weapons can still hit you with it, though.
Or monsters that are big and strong enough that they could hit someone if they had as if they had a magic weapon.
Does the staff that's got continual light cast on it count as a magical weapon?
Not in terms of hitting someone. You need a +1 magic weapon or better.
Sure.
3rd level monster summoning? What is 2d4 first level monsters? I feel like that would be good, but I feel like to be something. I feel like Wraith Form. I feel like you'd have an easier time finding monster summoning than you would finding Wraith Form from another wizard.
Do you think?
Just so you know, the monsters that you can summon are giant ants, huge bats, fire beetles, bullywugs, goblins, hobgoblins, germlines. They appear in 3d4. Kobolds, who appear at 3d4. Giant leeches, muck dwellers, orcs, or 3d4 giant rats.
It's pretty fucking cool. I'm just imagining like it. When we had the standoff with the dwarves, and imagine just summoning like 8 fucking monsters right behind her.
No, that's if we ever go underground, my summon insect spell has an innate 30% chance to summon giant ants.
Oh wow.
It's just all right.
What does chat think? Let's see.
I would say Wraith Form, but monster summoning would work too. Like, if I were you, I would take Wraith form, but I could see monster summoning being exciting.
I've never seen anyone have monster summoning.
It'd be pretty cool.
I was thinking Wraithorn
Wants to kill you, Nick.
we get to kill Zinli, but we're probably not going to go back to her. And I know that Geok has Wraith form, so I'll just kill him and take his spellbook.
Zinli most likely has magical weapons.
That's true. She does have magical weapons, we know that. Alright. I think I'm going to go for monster summoning.
Roll it.
Watch this be the spell you fail anyways.
Yeah, probably.
Ooh.
Oh.
Does that mean I get to roll again now?
No.
Okay.
Ooh, monster summoning. Okay. Alright, I've added those to your spell list. Should be up to date.
Yes. Cool. I don't really use that anyway. I've got my own list. But
Well then.
We're heading to Hillsborough, so you could probably get more spells from that one wizard.
he was only level 3, wasn't he, Neil? He didn't have level 3 spells in his spellbook, did he?
I
thought you
don't
just couldn't.
seem to recall.
Okay.
I don't think you could now. Or...
I'll check in with him. All right.
Okay, so you guys are in Clydesdale. I guess you guys got in last night or whatever, and it's now the next morning.
Yeah, so we cut off the head of the dragon head from the Chimera.
Right.
And I think on the way back, Van was kind of like skinning some of the scales off, and he's getting ready because there's two things I want. I want the dragon scales and the skull.
Mm-hmm.
Because dragon bones are worth a shitload, apparently.
Mm.
So are dragon scales.
So what are you doing all night then, Van? How do you spend the evening when you get back to the tavern in?
Oh god. I don't really want anyone to know that we have a dragon head.
It's pretty hard to conceal, right? How big is it now?
Yeah.
You know, it's big. It's big.
Is it definitely smaller than a proper dragon's head?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, dragons come in all shapes and sizes,
Yeah.
but it would be a small dragon.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
very
a small dragon, but it is. I'm pretty sure it is a real dragon head.
It breathes fire, so you know.
See, what I'm thinking is if we sell some of these components off, like Augury is a nice spell, but if we sell those dragon bones, we could probably buy that plate mail.
Well, yeah, we might need to go back to Redport, might we? So
I
maybe,
would.
let's convene in the morning. So
Yeah, I would say we should go to Hillsborough the rest of the way, and look in because I think it's a bigger city than Clydesdale, right?
Clydesdale is the county seat, so
Yes, let's take a look. Hillsborough is about 3,000. Clydesdale's 4,900.
Okay, then we'll stay here. I want to start looking around for a buyer, I guess. Like
For
start talking
your dragon skull?
for the skull and then the scales. Kind of float the idea.
So, are you walking around looking for the spire, like with a dragon skull tucked into your arm and a bag of
No,
scales over your
I
shoulder
think-
by yourself? Unarmed and naked? Or
So it's not big enough to put into a backpack, right? Or it's not small enough to put into a backpack, right?
yeah, you might need like a separate bag over your shoulder or something.
Okay. I think at some point, Van would just take it up to the room like late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he'd go out looking for a buyer and he'd take a few scales with him as proof. But otherwise, he'd probably leave the skull with Malachi.
Okay.
Like all the stuff with Malachi.
we haven't got the skull yet, right? Though it's still
Yeah, I'm still skinning it.
There's flesh and brains left inside of it, and it's probably producing a rotting smell in your room.
How do
Malachi.
you even like get rid of flesh off a skull back in the day? It's like
I
if it
have
was
no
me,
idea.
I'd leave it in a vat of coke or something.
Just scrub really hard.
Leave it outside for animals to eat everything off of it and let it get bleached by the sun, maybe?
We haven't got.
Imagine
time
you
for
could
that,
just
so-
carve it off the bone, couldn't you? With a knife?
Yeah.
I think. Tell you what, I say to Van in the morning. Why don't you look around for a buyer? Maybe work on getting the scales off the head, and I'll go and see if I can find some sort of substance that we could use to remove the flesh.
Boil it.
Boil it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what
Okay. I mentioned that I'm not comfortable with leaving it unattended is the big issue because that thing is probably worth a lot of money. Like,
I shall keep it in the room with the dogs, and they might even eat the flesh off it. Kill two birds with one stone. I make a point to sort of pet the dogs, Neil, since they kind of saved our ass. Right? Like on the way, showering them with.
Bear loves me more though. Doesn't matter that was magically induced.
Oh yeah, good on that. Tummy rubs, ear scratches, all the works.
Oh, they just love it.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, you're heading out looking for this hypothetical buyer of dragon heads.
Yeah, I trust the dogs, but like we keep the door locked, and I probably don't want to stay out too long then.
Mm-hmm. After poking around for a little while, you find a strange man down in the market area. He does all sorts of imports and exports. He's got a very thick accent, which I don't think you quite recognize. But he's down there in the market and seems interested when you mention dragon scales.
I show him a few of the dragon scales. I assume they're red.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Most excellent. These are prized possessions in other countries. How many of these did you say you have?
We're still collecting.
What do you know of Mistrea, the kingdom?
Very little. What can you tell me?
Some years ago, a rather large red dragon moved in and took over, placed itself in the mountains just above the capital. Ever since, the dragon has ruled the people of Mistrea in a most terrible fashion. It is also a red dragon. I think these scales might be somewhat useful for the people there, that I could fetch quite a nice price.
How so?
Well, they say red dragons produce a most terrible flame but are immune to it. I wonder if these scales might be resistant to the very flames the dragon produces. Perhaps. Anywho, if you have enough scales to make a set of armor, I would be happy to buy all the scales from you.
That sounds like an interesting proposition. How much would you be willing to pay?
Let me look up some quick prices. Prices guide. I would be willing to pay 60 gold.
For all of the scales?
For all the scales.
I'm afraid I can't part with them for so few. Dragon scales are a rare commodity. They're not common creatures. And collecting them is far more dangerous than you might seem to think, friend.
Oh, I can only imagine many men died in this effort. But for an untested, unproven theory, I could not bear to part with more than 60. I can sell them on the notion that they might block Dragon Flame, but without actual combat trials, there is no way to know. If you had some proof of this property, I might be willing to pay double.
Well, your offer is interesting, but I'm afraid the gold just isn't there.
Such a shame.
Indeed.
If you change your mind, I'll be here all week.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for your time. I'm gonna head back to the room, and I'm gonna wait for Malachi because I think we need to change our tactic here.
I think Malachi. Where are you, Malachi?
Well, I was gonna go look for some acid or something to burn the flesh off, but somebody said boiling, right? I mean, that's obvious. So I'm probably just I don't know, like scribing my new spells into my spell book. It probably requires some time to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably doing that. I mean, how does that work when you level up? Do you just have...
You get them, and I think it just takes you a few days to put them down, and like they click in your brain, but that you get that like flash of insight, and then you got to write them down. It's like, wait, how did that work again? You kind of like have to reprocess everything, but you roughly get it. So you learn 3 third-level spells. So it's going to take you quite a few days to actually get them all down onto paper.
But I can learn them already, or not?
Yeah, it's a weird gray area. Let's say you can learn them already, but they're not in your spell book. I don't know what that really means.
Does it say somewhere in the book that it represents the work that you've done throughout that whole level?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it would take you 18 days to write them all down. I don't know. The spell thing is poorly defined. So...
You can't make me wait 18 days.
I can't make you wait 18 days. That's... seems to be unfair.
Yes.
So somehow you managed to write them all down very quickly, I guess. Let's just say 1 day per spell. So,
part of the writing them down is the understanding, but I already understand them. So.
Yeah. But it'll take you a while to jot them down carefully into your notebook. So 1 day per spell to jot them down.
Okay.
Which ones do you want to start with?
I'll start with slow.
Slow, then...
Fireball and monster summoning.
Okay.
So maybe I did slow on the rest of the journey here, and then a bit last night and a bit this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll message you my spells for today.
Cool. Okay. Now, eventually the party reconvenes up in the quarters.
Okay. So, you know, we could always use Jeeves to look after the dragon's parts while we're away. Van, did you manage to find us a buyer?
No, I think we need to change our tactic. Talking to the common folk probably will not yield such results. We may need to start looking into the nobility, people looking to buy this as a collector's item, with the disposable gold to spare.
You know, I've got an idea. See, it seems to me that dragon scales, the main use would be to make armor, right? Now, neither of us are in the business of making armor, and there's some significant work involved in doing so. I think that they'd be worth comparably a lot more if they were already made into armor. Now, we have an armor smith who we owe some money to, do we not?
We do.
To me that dragon scales to him might be worth a fair amount. Now, this same armor smith, we might have, or our dearly departed Croak might have already paid him some money, but if we walk out on that deal, all of that work he's already done is wasted.
I agree.
He's invested in making this deal work for him. Perhaps he could be convinced to finish the armor if we give him these scales.
I think he'll expect more payment on top of that, but the dragons go a long way.
My only concern is that I'm quite sick of this place, and I'm keen to see the back of it.
As am I. Neil.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it should be fine. So Van says, I'm going to go out, get a bag to contain the scales, and don't let the dogs chew on the bones.
No, of course. I have work to be doing with my spell books anyway, so I shall keep an eye on them.
Okay. Then I'm going to go out. I'm going to get a bag first thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I want to go to a couple of the temples around town. Like, I'll start with one, and then if I need to go to more, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to mention that I have a very valuable material component that can be used in the casting of auguries.
All right. You end up speaking to one of the priests there, who looks at you a little bit surprised and goes, "Oh, would you please elaborate?"
On the road toward Clydesdale, we encountered a chimera. And I'm not sure how much you know about chimeras, but they carry 3 heads, and one of those heads is the head of a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
In a narrowly survived encounter, we slew the chimera and took its head. I now possess a dragon skull. Bones of a dragon, as I'm sure you're aware, can be used in the casting of auguries.
Yes, they can. He gives you a look up and down and goes, "But do tell me, what is a soldier of Cheese doing fighting dragons? Don't you belong in a perfume shop?"
I turn my head a little bit and then just kind of force out a smile, and I say, "We are not all so frail as we might appear."
You just the man before you, the cleric before you, is a cleric of Bellum, the god of war.
Okay.
So he seems a little bemused that you managed to acquire some dragon scales.
Okay. I hope the shame of that sinks in hard for him.
Well, a donation of dragon bones would be most appreciated. There are many wars to come.
A donation is something that I unfortunately cannot do. However, as a cleric of Bellum, I am sure you are aware that living a dangerous life on the road takes funding. You need materials, you need supplies to survive. And frankly, as somebody who goes on the road, I figure a chapel could put it to better use than I. I could use gold.
His mouth twitches a little bit and his eyebrows kind of sink. So, you are selling these bones for how much?
Dragon bones are rare and valuable, as I'm sure you know. I'd be willing to part with them for 700 gold.
I'm sorry, did you say 700?
Do you know how much dragon bones are? These could easily go for over 1,000.
Well, I think negotiations are 700 would empty our treasury and leave us wanting.
You charge hundreds of gold to cast a single spell. You can't afford 700?
Times have not been kind. There have been a dearth of those seeking our skills with coin in hand. 700 for what I believe can typically be purchased for 100 gold for the spellback components of augury?
No, 1,000. It's similar components of at least 1,000 gold in value.
1,000 gold in value. Shit.
Yeah. That's why I was selling it for cheaper, because I'm trying to be nice, because these guys are, you know, this guy might be a douche, but he's still a cleric.
Right. 1,000 gold. He puts his fingers together. This is definitely well outside of our price range, but perhaps I could petition the Count. Count Hilltop might be inclined to assist us in this matter.
Very well. I give him the end that I'm staying at and say, let me know whenever you hear further news.
He nods slowly. Good day.
Good day to you.
700 gold is not parted with lightly.
Yeah.
Let's see if they come up with some idea.
Yeah, it is a reusable component. It specifically says that this component is not used up.
I hope so. What is your reaction adjust? It's +6?
+6.
Pretty high.
Also, Neil, we took the whole head, so I want to keep some of its, like, the spine and its neck after we make the sale, because I'm pretty sure you don't need the whole skull to cast an augury spell.
Right.
It would go some way to explain why it was so expensive, though. Because otherwise, if you kill the dragon, you could probably get, like, 100 people casting augury.
Okay, so how long are you guys going to stay in town?
Well, he said that he would contact us. I gave him the inn that we're staying at.
Right.
We need to talk, though, about whether we're going to go back to Redport or not.
I suggest... Okay, I guess we'll do this in character. I suggest we stay out of Redport and only go back when need be. We know when the armor is going to be finished. When was that again, Neil? Out of game, because I don't know the date or when it finishes exactly. I'll go ahead and mark it down, though.
The 31st of May.
31st of May, and it is currently...
The 30th of March.
Okay.
So yeah, 2 months.
2 months.
Well, you're probably right then.
Okay.
So, is this that evening, right?
Yeah, that evening.
I've finished my study for the day, and I've brought little Jimmy and Jeeves into the tavern and bought them a drink each. And I just bought little Jimmy like a pint of beer or whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be if he's going to be traveling.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think people drink water in this era.
Water is dangerous.
Yep.
All right, chaps. Well, with the loss of our dwarven friend Jimmy, you'll know him as the. Well, we won't go into that story at this stage. You know, I'm kind of lost for something to do. Do either of you have any goals in life? Jeeves, is there anything you want to achieve, or are you just happy to sit around and follow me around your whole life?
I'm trying to save up some money so that my mother can be taken care of, sir.
Where does your mother live, Jeeves?
Rockwave, sir.
Rockwave. And where is that?
To the southwest, sir.
South.
It's still in Wake County.
Well, Jeeves, you've been a good guy. I can help you out with that. I know we don't pay you too much here, but you've been a loyal friend. And if you continue to be so, don't worry about saving your gold. When the time comes, I'll help you and your mother.
Very good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Jimmy, I don't suppose you've got anything interesting to say. I mean, you're quite interesting enough already.
Well, I have a goal.
Goal? And what's that?
To remove this curse.
Well, I think that's a goal for all of us if you're going to be sticking around.
We'll get there, Jimmy.
Talking about removing that curse. Van, you're here. How did the day go?
I may have found us a buyer.
Oh, really?
Yes, for the skull, not for the scales.
The skull. I heard that has some clerical value.
Yes, it can be used as a recurring spell component. I suppose we should keep the spine, sort of it's around the neck. We should keep the spine for ourselves, but sell the skull.
How much would this fetch?
I offered it for 700 gold.
700 gold. Wow.
Yes.
You see little Jimmy's eyes light up like the stars.
Yeah, I assume if we're around a table, I say that somewhat quietly. I don't want people to be like, what, 700 gold?
I give Jimmy a dirty look when his eyes light up. I ain't your gold, boy. 700 gold, though. Who could afford to pay that? The Count?
We're not sure. I'm not sure if anyone is yet. So I said I may have found us a buyer.
Well, do you have any goals outside of selling this dragon bones? I've had something on my mind.
Well, after we sell the bone, we need to find some way to make money for the next couple of months.
Oh, I've got a way to make some money, all right. Have you heard about this this lady from some county to the west? Thornwood, is it? Lady Red Armor or something?
To the west.
Yeah, apparently she fled from her seat. She tried to dethrone the countess or something like that. There's a great reward out for her capture.
Tracking a single person across a countryside is not a task to be taken lightly.
Well, we do have some unfinished business in Shirebrook. Maybe it's best we don't head there, but my old mentor, Rohanna, given the right materials, she could track someone. I figured that if we could head to this lady's abode, we might be able to find some remnants of her being there, some hairs or something like that.
You plan to return to Shirebrook?
No, not the lady, but Rohanna is still in Shirebrook, and she has some divination spells that may be able to track.
That's what I mean. You would have to go to Shirebrook to contact her.
Oh, you mean us? Well, yes. I could slip in under the cover of darkness. Rohanna has covered for us once before. I'm sure she wouldn't throw me to Tyrus Bellows if I showed my face. Although I would relish the chance to see his smug face again.
It's an interesting proposal, but how long is the journey to like sailing across waters? How long does that usually take, Neil? It took us like a week with going to Redport from Shirebrook.
Double check. I don't think it was.
We went from Anvil.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, but
quite...
we were going to Redport because we shipwrecked.
Yeah.
What?
And it was going to be something like a week, I think.
It was gonna be like 5 days, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say, well, I suppose this is doable. We may need to find some odd jobs on the way, Malachi. We do have to fund ourselves over the next few months.
Well, alternatively, it seems like an interesting guide to me. Have you heard about Anvil? Our halfling friends over there seem to have had their government taken away from them. And it seems some bandits have taken control of the keep there now. Bandits is such a crass word. He could be a good man, he could be a bad man. Could be a man with gold to spend. We'd have to head through there anyway if we were going to go by land.
It's possible, but I'm not sure if... Tell you what, for now we need to wait until our obligations here in Clydesdale finish. We still plan to go to Hillsborough, correct?
I'd still feel safer with another sword arm between us.
I agree. Then for now, we can think about this on the road.
Yeah, this Clydesdale type place. It's a big town, and for all of its tall buildings and high walls, it doesn't seem to strike my interest too much.
Nor mine.
And I don't suppose there's anything else waiting for us on the road that could be worse than what we've just come across.
Oh, sorry. No, I agree. For now, I suppose we should wait for the deal and then make the road up to Hillsborough and hopefully not be killed by giant spiders this time.
Did you say who was going to buy these dragon bones? There can't be many in this town with 700 gold to throw away.
The temple. They need to secure the funds, though, which is why I'm not positive this deal will go through.
Secure the funds from the
Count.
Perhaps we could pay the Count a visit.
I would rather not go over their heads on this.
Well, fair enough. I wonder if that Count has a wizard.
It's possible. Many counts do.
I have enough to be keeping myself occupied with for now, I suppose.
Yes. Perhaps you could try to get into bed with this one, too.
Perhaps. Well, shall we see what the morning brings? I fancy a drink. We've had quite the few days on the road, wouldn't you say?
I agree. Neil, what is this tavern music that you are playing? I feel far too... This seems far too intense for what we're doing.
Maybe.
I can barely hear it.
It's The Desert Awaits by Tabletop Audio.
Okay.
I wasn't sure where you guys were going to be, whether in a room or in a tavern, and it seemed appropriate for the musings of the future.
Okay.
Well, how about we get good and drunk tonight? Jimmy, have you ever been drunk before?
No!
Yeah, well, now's your first time. Here, drink that. I'm going to get you another. I intend to drink the night away.
Okay.
I think I'll be the designated driver since Jimmy's just a kid and it's his first time.
There's nothing to drive.
I'll be the designated, making sure nobody, gets themselves killed while drunk.
Right. Okay.
I even give some alcohol to the dogs.
God.
Just a little bit.
All right, the rest of the night passes fairly uneventfully, and we roll into the next morning.
Yep. So I think I don't have anything to do in Clydesdale, really. I think we're just waiting for... Oh, wait, I do want to have Malachi keep an eye on the skull, and I want to go out and ask her... Wait, did you figure...
Actually, when you wake up in the morning, there's a message waiting for you.
Okay.
Or when you come downstairs, there's a message waiting for you from the... It just says the clergy. It's signed the clergy, and it asks you to bring your augury bones to the great temple at the center of town.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should work to getting those bones out of this head.
That's what I plan to do. So, have we...
scales off.
Yeah, I've been carving the scales whenever I had spare time.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume I've gotten them off by now.
Yeah.
And I bought a bag for those. How much did that cost me, by the way? For just like a
part of your
bag?
monthly.
Okay.
It's not a lot.
I go and ask the innkeeper if we can borrow his cooking pot.
Gives you a funny look and goes, "What you cooking? My wife's an excellent cook. You don't need to make your own food."
We have some bones we'd like to get everything else off of. We'd like to just have the bones.
Greatest stew you ever had.
Call it a memoir of our adventures. It's a strange request, I know.
How am I supposed to make soup for everyone if you're using my cooking pot? There's a... What you call them? There's you know, the tanners down the way. They got pots they use for bleaching all sorts of stuff. You maybe ought to go talk to them. I don't want no strange bones in my soup stew bowls.
Thank you for your help, innkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, Jeeves, you mind the dogs while me and Van head out?
As you wish, sir.
Should we go and find this tanner, Van? Should we go and find this tanner?
Sure. One of us should definitely stay with it if we're showing these around to other people.
Well, we'll bring it with us.
I mean, I want to go to the temple and let them know that it will be a couple of hours before we arrive. We have to remove the meat from the bones.
Well, let's go to the tanner, and then we'll get started there, and then you can head to the temple.
Very well. Okay. So I think we'll take the skull with the skull with like bits of flesh still attached to it, and we'll. Actually, I think if there's like a hunter or somebody around, because hunters would know this kind of stuff, right? They know how to get meat off of bones.
Yeah, I think for our purposes, the boiling's the way to go.
Okay.
And a hunter will confirm that for you.
Okay. Well, I was thinking that they might have the tools for it, but if it's just a tanner, I would ask if they have a pot we can use for boiling some bones.
That's what they got. They got big pots for boiling all sorts of things. And as you get down to that part of town where you had been directed to where the tanners are, you can smell the stench of the reagents they use to tan the hides, and just like rotting hides sitting out in the sun, and big vats of boiling animal fat and just grossness. Like, the process of turning an animal carcass into useful components is pretty gross, and it's all cordoned off into one small section of town, which makes the stench almost unbearable.
Right. I wrapped the skull up in Corny's winter blanket for the sake of not having it be on display as we walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you get down to this little tanner square. It's not even a square. It's like a little windy street that gets a little bit fat at one point. And you see plenty of people out there stretching hides, boiling all sorts of things, and a few people selling their wares.
Well, this smells like the place.
Indeed. I walk up to a tanner and I say, "Friend, for a couple of gold, could we use one of your pots to boil some meat off of some bones?"
Yeah, hold on. He goes over and kicks over a pot and knocks out the water and things that were inside of it. They spill on the ground and run into the gutters. He gets some big, heavy mitts and rightens it again, and yells at his boy to go fetch some more water.
Okay. I give him a couple of gold, like 2 gold.
Okay. Mark it, and then it's just going to be a few hours of boiling and boiling and boiling. So, Yeah.
So I'll tell Malachi to stay with the bones. Then I'm gonna run down to the temple and let them know that we are boiling the bones, so there's still flesh on them right now, but we're getting them ready.
Neil, that night did I manage to get another spell that I learned down?
That was the day that you got slow. It's
Okay,
been one
well
day.
I kick off while I wait for Vanta and stop writing down Fireball.
Perfect. All right. A few hours pass. You know what? Why don't we actually... I think this is a good point. You guys are going to boil these bones. You're going to get all this flesh off of it. And then when we come back from our break, we can hop into the rest of this thing and see where you guys go from there. So, we're going to take our first break, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes on the other side of it. Ta-ta.